This is a really epic opportunity to catch up with two guys that I have had the pleasure of getting to know over the last few years, and it's a really great opportunity for me to introduce them to you all. So, for the sake of the audience that perhaps haven't met either David or Storm over the last few years, I wanted to just give you both an opportunity to introduce yourselves before we kick this episode off.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm Storm MacDonald, obviously the head of sales for SiteApp Pro. I've been with the startup for 5 years or so now. So relatively ground level and those kind of things. I think from when I first started the app was a lot different to what it is today, and we've seen it grow a lot over the last 5 years or so. I think big part of my role is just making sure that we successfully obviously talk to a lot of customers and things that are interested in SiteApp Pro and the going digital with their safety side. But making sure that what we're providing and who we provide it to are ones that can be successful with that app as well. So not just trying to find anyone that wants a safety app, but one that, meets the requirements of wanting customizable safety, wanting to iterate and change their plans as things go, and having the visibility and everything as well. So yeah, a lot of it making sure that we match up with the customers that can utilize and use the system properly.
Nice. Thanks. Cool. How about you, David?
Oh yeah, fantastic. So I'm David Masters. I'm the strategic partnerships manager at SiteApp Pro. So been at the company just about a year now. So yeah, 12 months, and it's been fantastic. My main role has really been focusing, working with the partners, so the health and safety consultants that are out there as well. I think the business realized just before I jumped on that the partners are key to our growth as well. They're a great voice. They also give us a lot of awesome feedback and advice as well that help us create the app that we have today. So my role is really being created and built to get that voice and be the voice for the partners and the health and safety consultants inside SiteApp Pro.
Awesome. There's really common themes running through both of your intros already. I'm really excited to unpack some of this stuff. So, I mean, it's really clear that the engagement with both your customers and the partners is really essential, and perhaps your secret sauce formula to the success that you guys have been having over the last few years. And also the evolution of the business from, and I know this from personal experience, those early days where you accept any business that you can get your hands on to, keep the wolves at bay and pay the bills, to getting to a point where you're actually confident and comfortable enough to be able to say, actually, this isn't the right fit for us. We're happy to recommend other providers, all the way through to, yeah, this is a slam dunk connection between an ideal customer, and this is how we can, really support you on your evolution. So really keen to unpack some of that stuff over the next 20 minutes or so. Really excited to catch up with you both. So thanks for making yourselves available. So clearly, and I've seen it myself, you guys are really all over social. Your LinkedIn presence is epic. You're spending a lot of time on the road. You're connecting face to face with customers and with your SiteApp Pro partners. I'm proud to be one, and often that must lead to lots of really great and epic conversations. And so, with those in-person conversations, what have they perhaps taught you guys more than what a Zoom call or a dashboard ever could?
When I first started, it was around the COVID era, so we did a lot of Zoom, and you're sitting in an office and you're just all from home most of the time, really. And it's all well and good to hear the stories of what's happening on site, but once we started getting out of the office and going, seeing customers, partners, or whoever it was actually seeing safety happen on the ground. So partners running companies through toolbox talks and all the different topics that would come up, or questions or things from users, or our customers, and showing us their induction process, which is obviously all done in the app, but how do they get people to engage in that and take it through? Or even going through sites and doing inspections with the partner and seeing potential near misses or problems on site and how they've interacted and dealt with those in the moment. For us as a tech company, it's given us the ability to go, okay, how do we take all those little tidbits of knowledge and things that we've got from those experiences and implement them into an app that can help people make those easier, or identify that quicker, or spread that information out to the wider business or other sites and those kind of things to mitigate those problems. So for us, I think it's about actually like seeing the safety being done, and or the negative reactions. You get up on site and people were like, oh, the safety team are here, and you can kind of that like issue. And then but to us that's kind of like, okay, well, that's part of the problem, because they're users of SiteApp Pro. If we're turning up on site and they're already disgruntled by that, how do we get them, engaging into the conversation that we're about to have, or getting them maybe excited about the plate of food that we're bringing, but also the safety conversation we can have alongside that, or get them to raise those issues that they do have. So that's kind of been the eye opener for us, is actually seeing everything in practice as well as it is just the theory of it.
Yeah, a pretty brave, authentic conversations too, which for many businesses would be terrifying. So amazing that you're prepared to front foot there. That's epic. And then how about yourself, David? Is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think love it's pretty similar to what Storm said, but there's obviously so many conversations that I had kicked off that were just naturally, over a Zoom or Teams or a phone call as well. And I thought I was getting, pretty extensive feedback from that. Partners pretty open and honest as well, who I'm dealing with day to day. But there's genuinely a difference that you get when you go down and see them, at their workplace or in their hometown, or when they come up here. I think just naturally it forces people to be more genuine and more honest with their feedback as well. And that's one thing I think really stood out for me, is that the partners, when we're working with them, they're working with us when they're giving us feedback as well. It's like they just want to make us a better platform. And ultimately, when they're out on the site and they're recommending SiteApp Pro, they want it to be a platform that's actually going to make that site safer and more secure, right? So they're really working the interest for their clients as well, but thinking about how can they integrate us to also help them meet that goal as well, which has been, pretty fantastic and really rewarding as well.
Awesome. And then speaking more about that partner relationship. So you recently had your SiteApp Pro conference, the SAPCon, which unfortunately I couldn't attend. But I would love to hear from you both in terms of what you're hearing loudest from the practitioners from the field. So what are those challenges and trends that you're seeing? And how is that shaping the digital safety today and perhaps even into the future?
Yeah, I think from my table, when I was there, we had a moment which was a lot of workshops and talking to partners kind of in smaller batches and groups. And a lot of what we got from those conversations was, how can we make the pre-qualifications easier, either for the customer and the user, and how they, you got to gather all this information over the course of a year or so, or a lot of time, a lot of evidence to put in. And there's matters of, getting the project staff engaged into that, and filling out and completing the documentation while also doing the work itself. But then it's about the actual qualification application process. So again, when a lot of the conversations around the technology side, but can SiteApp Pro pull all those data points together to give you an easy pre-qualification application? And then how do we make that kind of repeatable for all the different pre-qualifications out there? Site-wise, slightly different to Tortica, slightly different to ISO and all those. So, if we can build a way to make that part easier for everyone, then for partners especially, that ticks all their boxes and makes that a lot easier and simpler for them when they're dealing with multiple companies' pre-qualification processes, and the repeatability of all that for them as well. That was probably the biggest thing we spoke about a lot, of like, how do we make that easier? Is there even ways to the industry have all the different options? What does that look like? But yeah, so one thing that I took away of, like, how do we improve that? How do we start to look into that process and work with all the different providers to make that easier for both partners and customers?
Brilliant response. Like, that's music to my ears. And I know from conversations we're having with my team, clearly you guys have been talking to my team, because it's like, yes, that's exactly what is needed. So that's really exciting. And I guess really further evidence of the fact that you guys do have your ears to the ground and are taking on board what is needed today and also into the future, which is epic. How about yourself, David? Like, is there anything additional to what Storm's mentioned that you have picked up either at SAPCon or on the ground that's worth bringing to the table?
Well, yeah, I think you mentioned us trying to keep our ear to the ground. I mean, that's, we bring everyone down to SAPCon, and it's a great event for the partners to be at, but it's also super valuable for us to host as a business, right? Getting everyone in that room to hear what that noise is about, see what they are talking about. I think one of the key things that kind of stood out to me is we released a sort of fantastic, or I suppose enhanced new module that we had built on it, the equipment, which I think has been pretty game changing for a lot of our partners as well. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it's one of the biggest releases we've had as well. So it was great to hear the feedback on that, and also show them some more skills and how they can make it more effective. And machines, obviously, huge risk on site, right? So if it's not being used, in a safe, efficient way, it's not being maintained on time. Obviously, that's a huge risk. So giving the partners more time to actually identify risks out on site, and sort of less time with their head in the paperwork as well, I think is something that we're really supporting with, which is cool.
Love it, love it. Great innovation, by the way. I think that was very, very wise move. Excited to see it in action as well. It's epic. So clearly, SiteApp Pro has built a reputation for the whole collaboration piece, right? So helping partners, helping your clients, and even competitors, raising the bar together. So how do you build that kind of ecosystem, particularly a mindset, really, inside a tech company?
Yeah, I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit today. It's obvious that we talk a lot to partners and customers and have our ear on the ground, but that's kind of the approach that we have to help with that. It's putting the customers and partners first. We've always identified ourselves as the tool to help make your safety better, but not necessarily the advisors on how to do that kind of thing, right? That's why we have partners and rely on our consultants and talk to our customers a lot about what they need. So we're in that mindset of, if we're going to build the best safety systems and use this technology to the best of its capability and have all that, we need to obviously know how we can best utilize the tech, security, the AI to, build all that. But we need to get that viewpoint from our customers and partners on where that direction goes. So the equipment that Dave touched on earlier, all that feedback came from different customers and partners who said things like, equipment is a huge part of our safety program, regardless of, it's not necessarily in legislation or a need for anyone else, but it helps to be proactive to make sure that all your equipment is well maintained so that it doesn't hurt anyone. So, okay, well, how can we, as a tech company, build something that can help people make sure that all that gear is well maintained? And all customers have different ideas and feedback and processes that we can do. And if you listen to every single one of them try to build it, you would build many, many different versions of the same thing. But our job is to make sure that we take all that feedback and boil it down into what is going to be the best and most effective thing for the customers that fits within SiteApp Pro as well. And the wider platform, and how we can then grow it to other aspects of the platform as well and build through. So yeah, it's about, for us, listening to the customers, taking on their feedback. They use it in the field. They tell us if it's working, if it's not working, and learn, kind of be brave as well. Release something, and if it's not working, be okay with that. What mistakes can we learn from? What did we fail at? What isn't okay? And then pivot and change in a version 2. Or what more can we add to this now that they start using it to make it even better than what it was? So yeah, I don't think, we're not afraid to sort of fail, because you can learn from things. We're not afraid to make changes or iterations to things. But yeah, the big thing is always making sure that the customers are first, and that what partners are telling us is truth, and following their lead, but innovating it to make sure it works for the future.
Yeah, brilliant. I really love that ethos of fail and fail quickly, fail at scale, because by doing that, you're learning and actually, pushing forward every step of the way. From a health and safety point of view, when you're talking about failing at scale, that sounds terrifying and like the worst day ever. But actually, it seems to be in the DNA of most successful modern businesses and enterprises these days. If you look at like the biggest thought leaders and those who seem to be absolutely killing it at the moment, they're the ones that embrace this and see the value of doing that. It also, what you were saying really neatly brings us back to the point early on where we were talking about the upside of being more more consistent and more critical in terms of the types of customers that you work with as well, right? So being brave enough to say no, knowing that you're going to provide so much better service to those that you do work with for a longer period of time as well. Really epic. Love it. So good. No wonder you guys are doing so well. So when you do find yourself sitting at a table with a health and safety manager that's perhaps all about paperwork, and that's always been the way they've done it, and it's, you know, kind of almost reluctant to change, but perhaps they're getting pressure from their managers and maybe perhaps even the board, who are looking for more up-to-date automated dashboards and information. What are the types of conversations or the language that you're using to help shift that mindset and to bring them into the modern era?
It's quite funny because a lot of people who come to us at this point already understand that paper's not quite doing the job for them, but they don't quite know what else to do. So, because it is the traditional, it's what people were used to, it's how they're sort of used to seeing it. The safety managers and leaders may start to think about digital and what it can do to help them, but they don't quite see how it can. So for us, just the conversation of getting them to understand things like, we can track engagement, we can see visibility across multiple sites, we can take that spreadsheet that the admin staff members are spending hours updating and kind of automate a lot of those tasks so that that can all be done in one system and app that ties into other parts of your health and safety program. They start to then see that paper can only go as far as the sheet of paper itself, and that nothing's connected, it can't be automated. And then they start to kind of spin the wheel on, well, if we did that part and we had that inspection over here, it would update our equipment register over here, which then would update our training matrix over there. In one little click of a button, I can edit all those spreadsheets that I have at the moment. And so they start to see that they can be more efficient, that they can start to get more detail in there. And then when you start showing the reporting aspect of it, they start to see, okay, well, that's just automatically uploaded into the system and I immediately see my trends without having to worry about taking those 6 or 7 different items of paper that have been completed that day and putting them into a system and then seeing maybe an Excel graph that's pokey and not really working them. So a lot of it for us is like the mindset shift comes as they start to realize how it can change their organization and update their workflows or build out better processes for them. And then the one key one we probably get is more the question of engagement for staff, because leaders want to go digital. They're using other tools. They're starting to get the understanding of AI and all those bits. But it's the staff on ground who, you know, have to log into the mobile app. And will they do that? Will the data work? Will they actually have a smartphone that can use SiteApp Pro and all those things? So the part we have with them, we've got lots of tools and people that can help with training and all that kind of stuff. But it's a question of when, not if. A lot of the times, because SiteApp Pro is so configurable, the content and can be built the same as what they're used to with paper. It's then just loading in the reminder of today, you've got to do that pre-start form, and it's easier because it's in the app, and getting them to start that process of, okay, I've got to use this app and build that through. Some stuff will pick it up on day one. They're intuitive enough to be able to follow systems and go digital with all that side of things. But some stuff do take time, and with a lot of support and help, they get there really fast, and a lot faster than what I think people realize or give people credit for. But there is a journey for some people, and once they see the concept of some people can engage, the rest will get there as well, and they slowly build up to it. So yeah, that's probably the biggest mindset shift, is that engagement. But once they get there, then they're off and away.
I think that's, sorry, just to add on that as well. I also think when you do roll out something that is against the norm of what you're used to in terms of paper, there's also a right way to do it, because it can be quite scary if you're going away from a traditional way that you've trusted and you've done for years. And I think if I think about some of our successful customers that we've onboarded, it's not right day one, you're switching over and you're going to digital. It's how can we slowly feed this through maybe to one department and then the next department as well. And I think that's where we've seen those super successful rollouts, when they start to trust the system, see the engagement, and really see the outcomes it has. And I don't think there's anyone that's kind of looked back since, right? Which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It brings us back to another point earlier around meeting the customer at their starting point, right? So the customer could be the business that you are trying to pitch to. The customer can also be the workers on the ground that the manager and the management team are trying to sell their pitch to. Hey, we've got this new solution, rather than just kind of throwing it at them and expecting it to stick. Is actually perhaps rolling it out in smaller sections, ensuring that everyone understands the why, and making sure that the tool works first time round. So there isn't this kind of like immediate pushback. Oh, it's broken yet again, another change that's not going to work or stick. So clearly that must be a really rewarding part of the of your jobs in a way, is being able to see that moment where it kind of like, aha, like now I get it. Are there any other kind of moments that are like really rewarding moments for you that spring to mind?
Like in that process, I think there's kind of two parts of our process that I think about with that. The first is when, as the sales team, we obviously meet with them when they're going through that consultation process, thinking about what options they have, and they'll have a problem that they want to solve. And everyone's got different ones, whether it be just going off paper, or they want a very specific check-in process that they want the team to follow, or whatever it might be. When they see the moment of that problem being solved with the technology, and they just the concept of it, that is one thing we note down of like, that's the moment that they were like, this is the system for us, or this is the thing that's going to help us to achieve whatever their problem is. The next moment that they typically have for that is when we actually implement it. So we've got a team afterwards, when a customer signs up, that will help set up the account and get things configured right and built in. But it's when that first staff member goes and does that QR code check-in that is seamless, happens in a couple of minutes. They get the report back straight away. They see all the details in, everything's signed off, and they go, okay, I'm going to get 10 more of these later today. And that 10 more happen. And they go, that was the moment that I realized this is going to work out for us, because what took me days and laborious task and follow up and writing my team to make sure they do this thing just took me 5 minutes. And they suddenly go, okay, cool. This is the thing that's going to make it work. So we're constantly trying to find those customers, or talk to those customers about what problems they want to solve. And then, once they've kind of implemented that process, follow up with them and be like, did it work? And they often are like, yeah, it did. And now we can see the value in the whole thing as well. So yeah, every customer's got different ideas of what that problem is and how to solve it. But as soon as you solve it, they just, it's a way.
That's so good. How about yourself, David? Is there anything of a similar or different lens that springs to mind?
Yeah, I think it's always good to see the penny drop moment when it comes to shifting onto digital. I think like some cool moments that I've seen on site where you've maybe gone on and you've seen people that haven't even downloaded the app, right? And SiteApp Pro's been implemented, and you're like, how can we obviously get more people like rocking and rolling with this? Because it's only as powerful as the engagement of the people that are actually using it on site. And I think it's pretty awesome when you come down maybe a couple of weeks later, download, set it up, and you hear that feedback on, it's actually all right, it works well. I'm doing things a lot quicker and easier than I used to be. And they've actually got, hey, how can we work? And they're bringing the app up to you on like features, and they're actually asking things on how you can work on operators. So they're being proactive with it. And I think that's such a good sign when you go from getting someone, hey, can you actually please download this, to saying, hey, how can we do this? Or can I fill around or muck around with this, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I think there have been the really, really rewarding moments as well, which is fantastic.
So good. And I'm just thinking from the health and safety coordinator or the health and safety administrator's point of view, is that they spend so much time, or traditionally spent so much time, chasing those bits of paper and trying to get people to fill out those forms, and then the forms get lost, and then they get forgotten about, they're scanned and end up on someone's desktop and not put where they're supposed to. And then we spend all the time trying to create monthly and quarterly board reports, which can take days, knowing that no one's going to read them, let alone understand them. All of a sudden, you've freed up all that time and all of that energy that's been wasted, arguably, and you're enabling the health and safety practitioners to actually start leading the conversation and looking at the data and being able to interpret it from that lens, and then being able to help the decision makers when it comes to what's going to move the needle the best. So from my perspective, what you guys are doing is evolutionary, really, for the traditional health and safety practitioner. So it's really exciting times. Like I've seen it firsthand, how the rollout it takes place, the dashboards start doing their thing, and then all of a sudden the conversations mature so rapidly. So it's really exciting times. So guys, is there, with the last minute or two that we've got, is there anything that you would like to bring to the table or to share with the audience before we let everyone get back to their days?
I think the big thing for us is, traditional wise, paper and all those kind of things. Like, it will, I guess, do parts of it, but like you say, on that last point, Matt, there's not going to give you that maturity level that comes now with technology, and especially with things like with AI coming in and all that. Once you take the data and you go to those monthly board reports and things, AI is going to make you more efficient in bringing those summaries through and taking that data and helping you to understand that next step. But doing things on paper in the traditional way is hard. You're not going to be able to do that. But also, are your staff engaging with that bit of paper in the field as well? That's kind of the key part. Is it can be easily chucked away in a box and forgotten about, and you find out months and months later that it wasn't interacted with. Whereas digital, you find out on the day, hey, they didn't look at their SSSP, they didn't fill out their JSA. We need to find out and see what's going on and kind of add to that sooner rather than later. So yeah, it gives you more versatile, or versatility, more agile in that space as well. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of benefits, obviously, and we're biased, but I think
Yeah, it's good. You're allowed to be. You're allowed to be. And then finally, if people have enjoyed what they've heard and want to speak to you guys or hear more about what your product does, where best should they go?
yeah, come check us out on SiteApp Pro website. All our contact details are there, or hit us up on LinkedIn. We're both pretty active on that as well. So yeah, either platform, sing out. We're more than happy to have a chat with anyone that is keen to have a chat.
Love it. So Storm, David, thank you both so much for your time. Just golden nuggets all over the show. So thank you so much. Always really good to see you both.